Lord Byron, or to give him his full name, George Gordon Byron, Baron Byron, 6th Baron Byron, Lord Byron of the Burghers. That wasn't his name. Hi, hello, my name is Louise Quick and welcome to another episode of Quick Histories. This week's fact feels like a real culmination of facts I've given you before. In previous episodes, I have given you a fact on how a bear fought in World War II, and more recently, a fact all about the 19th century Gothic author Mary Shelley. I'll pop links to both of those videos in the description below. And today's fact involves the famous 19th century poet and bad boy Lord Byron and a bear. So, yeah, what am I talking about? Honestly, not entirely sure myself, but let's find out. When Lord Byron was a student at Cambridge University in the early 1800s, he had a pet bear. As you do. But firstly, who was Lord Byron? Well, Lord Byron, or to give him his full title, George Gordon Byron, 6th Baron Byron, Lord of Byron Burghers. He was not Lord of Byron Burghers, was a hugely famous poet. He's also the biggest name to come out of the cultural movement Romanticism, which I touched on in a previous video all about the author Mary Shelley. But Byron is also remembered famously for being a bit of an eccentric, let's say. Even at a young age. He went to uni in 1805, and when he moved into his student digs, he was outraged, appalled, and other angry terms about the fact that it was against the rules for students to keep pet dogs. In fact, he was so shocked by the fact that he wasn't allowed to have a pet dog at university that he eventually retaliated by instead getting a pet bear. You can just imagine him as a cocky student saying, "Aha! Loophole. It says I can't have a pet dog, but it doesn't say anywhere I can't have a pet bear." He probably didn't do that though. Fortunately for the professors and the other students, the bear that Byron had was just a small tame bear, probably bigger than that, just a small tame bear. So it wasn't exactly like Byron was riding a full grizzly around campus. Byron having a bear with him at university is such a fun fact. It's one of my favourites, but bear with me while I explain why you have to be a little bit cautious with this fact. This is one of those really popular history facts that's been bandied around, repeated a lot throughout the last 200 years. See, you have to remember that Lord Byron isn't just famous now, he was a star within his own lifetime. And just like famous people today, the public loved a good juicy story about Byron. Anything that really showed his eccentricities, like, oh, Lord Byron had a bear at university. Of course he did. Classic Byron. Classic bye-bye. But as these stories were shared over and over again, they became increasingly more elaborate, to the point that now it's hard to know what's true anymore. Honestly, working with history sometimes feels like you're just sifting through a giant game of Chinese whispers. It's fine though, I'm fine about it. Anyway, the Byron bear story is a fantastic example of that, because we can see that the fuzzy little creature, the bear, not Byron, was written about in articles, poems, other written documents, not just within Byron's lifetime, but for decades afterwards. People were writing more elaborate stories about Byron bringing this bear to university with him. Even just in researching this video, I found several accounts from the 19th century describing how Byron would dress up the bear in human clothes, he would box with the bear, he would take the bear for a walk around Cambridge like a dog, and even tried to have him apply to be a student at the university. And yes, this was Lord Byron, so, I mean, that could all be true. However, the one key bit of at least semi-reliable information we do have is a letter, or a part of a letter that he wrote to a friend while he was at uni, in which he says, "I have got a new friend, the finest in the world, a tame bear. When I brought him here, they asked me what I meant to do with him, and my reply was, he should sit for a fellowship." And then later on in the letter, he says, "This answer delighted them not," which, I mean, fair enough. So there we go. Did Lord Byron have a bear while studying at Cambridge? Yeah, it looks like it. Did he dress the bear up in clothes and box with him and walk him around like a dog? That I'm a little less sure of. It's actually more likely that the bear was kept in some nearby stables where Byron was known to have had a few horses. Because what sort of classic university experience doesn't include owning a few horses? Eventually, it's believed that the bear was taken to Newstead Abbey, which is Byron's ancestral home, where presumably he roamed around and just terrified everyone that worked there. Now, I really wanted to tell you all about the weird and wonderful pets that Byron had, including, well, the less weird, but he had a beloved dog called Bosun, because Byron loved dags. Dags? Do you like dags? Byron loved dogs. However, I promised myself I was going to try extra hard to keep these videos short and sweet, so I'll have to save that for another day. But also, if you'd like to hear about Bosun and all Byron's other pets, comment below or feel free to buy me a coffee and Ko-fi and I'm much more likely to do it. So there we go. Lord Byron did in fact have a pet bear while studying at Cambridge University. It's a real life Paddington Bear story. Sort of, kind of, not really, no. Thanks so much for watching, especially right to the end. If you like this video, give it a like, share it with your friends and family, and remember to click that subscribe button on my YouTube channel. That would be amazing. And if you really like this fact, remember you can share your love by buying me a coffee on Ko-fi. It's just like leaving a tip, and all the contributions go straight towards making more of these videos. Otherwise, I'm off to watch the Paddington Bear movie for possibly the 100th time. Maybe not the 100th time, but it's a very good movie. History fact.